Oh, yes, sir, David, Mr. Pearl, how can I help you? Or how can we help you, sir?
Good evening. David Pearl, 79 Main Street. I'd like to take an opportunity to talk a little bit about the high school issue. I think the public needs some information from the school board. This is a major change. I know we've talked about that the policy's been around for a long time, but let's face the facts. This is a major change for potential parents sending kids out of the district. And I think that we need to get the facts on the table. I hear that we're talking about the contract. I see no language in the contract that restricts you from what you have been doing. Case-by-case basis, people petition, we decide to approve. So it kind of concerns me when I hear that it's because of the contract. And I've heard other things that it's to support the contract. And I think if this is the case, we should hear that information, not just the vague references, because this means a lot to us, and if it's a decision that you're going to make, we really deserve the facts. The other thing is the whole voucher issue. You know, is it a voucher? Is it not a voucher? I've tried to do some research on this, and it's not easy. I mean, I can't find anywhere where it says what we're doing is or isn't. And I think that it's kind of incumbent upon you folks, if you're thinking that you're not doing it because it's a voucher, I think we should see that information that you're basing that on. Because I don't think it's that easy to just look it up and see an RSA that says you can't do it. And if it was, we would do that and be done with it. If those two cases are not the reason, then I would argue that it comes back to the school board, and it comes back to your own policy. And if it is your policy to enforce hardship, the hardship clause or part of the policy, I think that, and obviously you can do that, it's your policy. But again, I think it's incumbent to explain to us what that change is based on in real facts, so that we can understand why it is. Because right now, there's a lot of confusion, and the clock and the calendar are ticking by. And there are parents that want to have options, and at this point, they don't believe that they do. And I think it's only fair that, you know, you are our school board, and I would remind you, you are the school board of those high school kids. And I would just close by saying, if it is because numbers are going up that people want to get out of Manchester, I think it's time to look at that and say, why is that happening? Why are these numbers going up? Like, we would look at numbers going down on tests and say, what's happening? What's going wrong here? How are we going to correct for that? And to just say the numbers are going up, so we're going to push the kids back into Manchester, I don't think really, frankly, makes a lot of sense. So I think we ought to look into this, get it out on the table in time for people to make some decisions so that they can move forward and make those arrangements for their children for high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Which is a parent request to have a student attend a school not of record, which is what Mr. Crowe kind of just referenced. So, is there parents of that? Under what we've done, this is actually the second time we've, under the new policy that Mr. Crowe referred to, we have an option to discuss this in non-public. Is that your pleasure?
Yes,
To
please.
do that. Okay. So based on the made decision, we're going to refer our decision until our next meeting in order to reflect on what was presented. So not to give you another 2 weeks of fighting your name, and we want to reflect on this because it's an issue.
Do I need to come back to the meeting, or like a phone call? Or?
We certainly will. Please do come. I don't know if. Or you can call him. Call Dr. Littlefield, and he can give you an idea if you need to come back.
Sure.
And we'll make a decision at that meeting. And either way, whatever happens, we'll let you know. Either you're here, okay? So thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Mr. Pearl, hi again.
David Pearl, 79 Main Street. I just want to let you know that the town council has beat you all to the 21st century, and in January, is going to have their meetings online. So I would encourage you to try to catch up at this point. It would be beneficial to everyone. I would like to make 2 formal questions under your procedure for public input. It states that if I make questions, I ask questions of the board, they will be answered at the appropriate time and proper method.
That's correct, under 3.
So my first question is, why the Hooksett School Board deems it necessary for parents to prove hardship to go to high schools other than Manchester? And my second question would be, does the Hooksett School Board feel that the current tuition sharing method is in any way illegal because of vouchers or any other reasons?
Okay. Do you have those down, Dr. Logan? Or would you like to, can we answer any of those right now? I guess
I'm not sure what you're doing.
okay. We can, we address his questions in a manner appropriate. Sometimes we can do it right now, or sometimes there's a requirement to get information to respond. So, are we able at this point, able to answer his questions right now?
Well,
Because we can do that.
That would be a.
That's up to the board. Are we,
I'd like to take it under advisement.
and we want to, okay, so we'll have an answer for him, if not before the meeting, but before then? Okay.
I'm sorry, I just missed the 2 questions. I didn't get a chance to write them
My
down.
first question was why the Hooksett School Board deems it necessary for parents to show hardship to go to schools other than Manchester, as it is stated in your policy. And the second one is, does the Hooksett School Board feel that the current tuition sharing agreement that you have with parents that are going to other high schools, if that's any way illegal based on vouchers or any other reasons? Again, this is my attempt to get the facts on the table, and I certainly would be willing to, have you guys take that under advisement and get back to me when appropriate.
And I think some of us may have an answer for you individually, but not having the other 2, that may be why we're going to, as Sheldon said, we'll address it at our next meeting.
Well, and I have spoken to some of you about it, and the reason I really wanted to ask the question here was to get the board's opinion. So certainly I'd be willing to wait for that, because I know you can't give that individually, but I just feel it's important to the public that we understand why.
Okay, so we'll give you an answer at least by next, at our
Thank
next
you.
meetive on the 19th. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, hi.
I'm Sonia Correa, and I'm from 280 Hackensack Road. I have a question about hardship. Can you define to me what hardship is? You know, like they say, prove to me that it is a hardship for your kid not to attend the Manchester school district. I'd like to send my kid somewhere else, and I'd like the credit to be sent there. What is the hardship? Can you define that to me? Because hardship could be, if I'm willing to drive my kid somewhere, what is the hardship about it?
Well, I think going back to what we had a request of a parent to send their child to another school, other record, and part of the policy, which we do have policies on that, which will certainly can provide you a copy of that. They need to meet a hardship. That hardship is actually would be something that each one of us as a school board would have to determine if we feel, and I'm not speaking just to give you a general, and we can probably, I think we may have an answer in 2 weeks in conjunction with the other person's request. Hardship of that attending the school would impact their educational development in that different aspect of it. So it's kind of a difficult one for each to determine, because it depends on the individual situation, how that student may be affected by attending that high school, such as Central or West. So at that point, there is not one.
So I just go
There's
to
not
you
one
guys?
there's not one definition of that hardship, which maybe causes the ambiguity of that. So, but at that point we don't, and I think that's one of the reasons why we deferred the request from earlier, because we're still trying to determine that, so I think we weren't sure if that met the hardship. So, in a way, we don't have, there's no set answer that if you meet these 5 criteria, the hardship is met.
Well, that's how do I present to you, you know, like,
What I would suggest you do is, if there is a request of you, according to the policy, you want to, you need to speak to the superintendent. He can give you more
I'll help.
information of the process and so forth, because we did just change that policy. Okay. I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but, okay. But he'll go to him, and he'll hopefully can clarify even more beyond my interpretation. Okay.
all right,
Thank you very much. And you got her name?
I didn't get your last name.
Pare, P-A-R-E.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Okay. And any other questions from the public?